Did you ever have the rock star fantasy?
Oh, sure, but I couldn't sing for, shit. And I couldn't play anything, so had to go to the next best thing.
Another direction of the actor's creativity was winemaking in their joint estate with Angelina in Provence Chateau Miraval. In 2008, they bought with Jolie a plot where world-class rose wine was produced, becoming a multi-million-dollar business. And each of them had an equal share in the business. Recently, the estate has been the subject of heated discussion in the media and in court, as the actress sold her part to a Russian entrepreneur without Pitt's knowledge. After the divorce, Pitt stopped drinking and even began to visit the Alcoholics Anonymous group, where he spent a year and a half. I had a really cool men's group here that was really private and selective, so it was safe, he says. Because I'd seen things of other people who had been recorded while they were spilling their guts, and that's just atrocious to me. Now, his main drink is water. In 2017, a comedy thriller by David Michaud called War Machine was released, where Pitt again had the main role of General Glenn McMahon, whose image was taken from a real person, a former serviceman of the U.S. Armed Forces, Stanley McChrystal. And the plot itself has real references to the events of the war in Afghanistan. It is not known whether the picture would have been released if not for Brad and his production company, which took up the project. As a result, a very controversial result came out. An exciting, satirical, and sometimes ridiculous black comedy in which the main character seems to make fun of himself or the story as a whole. In any case, it was very unusual for us to see Pitt in such an image.
We are here to build, to protect. We are not here to harass, to intimidate. We're not here to shoot first and ask questions later.
War Machine received mixed reviews and a fairly small rating, an average of 5 out of 10 on film critics' websites. Among the comments there was such things as costly failure of Netflix and Pitt as the wrong choice of the main character. The next role, or rather Brad's cameo, was the image of the Vanisher in Deadpool 2 by David Leitch. But he appeared on the screen for only a few seconds at a time when his hero was being electrocuted.
What was shooting that light?
Pretty much the easiest thing I've ever done.
In an interview, Ryan Reynolds said that Pitt set a very unusual condition to agree to the role. I was told all he wants is a cup of coffee, and I said, like a franchise or just one individual cup of coffee? And I was told one individual cup of coffee, which was really his way of saying, I'm doing it for nothing. And it was a total solid and the nicest thing anyone could do. According to him, Brad's consent looked crazy even for them. After all, a star of his scale agreed to the role without words and practically without actions for free. In 2019, Quentin Tarantino's dramatic comedy Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was released. There, the actor got the supporting role of a stuntman named Cliff Booth. Pitt's partner on the set was Leonardo DiCaprio, who played actor Rick Dalton.
And just where I am in my life, I was just really drawn to him. I love what Quentin had written. It was a guy who was pretty at peace with his place in life, knew what he was dedicated to, what he was not dedicated to.
Initially, Tarantino wrote a book under the same name, but then realized that it turned out to be a screenplay. A screenplay that each viewer regarded in his own way. For some, it became an easy and unobstructive movie, with deep philosophical overtones and classic Tarantino text.
You are real, right?
I'm as real as a donut, motherfucker.
It tells about how not to lose face when you are written off and how to accept life as it is. All this is demonstrated through the hero of Pitt. The actor's performance was elevated controversially, but for sure everyone remembers the part of the movie with his shirt off. 56-year-old Brad showed that there's juice in the old raisin. However, Pitt is not the kind of actor who likes to get undressed on stage. Tarantino admitted that he enjoyed working with the actor. I like that this guy knows what's going on, so fuck off and let the master do his job, he added. But not by sex scenes alone. To prepare for another memorable scene, the fight with Mike Bowe's hero, he specially trained before and after the shooting day. At a specially equipped training ground, he studied martial arts, especially paying attention to Filipino ones. Brad loved getting into the Filipino stick work, recalled veteran fight coordinator Rob Alonzo. But getting a sprain or a fracture during the filming fight scenes wasn't the only risk.
Tom Cruise, my friend, will tie himself to a side of an airplane and it will take off and land. I put applesauce on my neck so a pit bull could give me love and affection. I don't know who's braver.
Not all reviews were positive. The movie was accused of a lack of dynamics and tightness, and that it radically stood out from all of Tarantino's works. For his work on the film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Brad Pitt was awarded an Oscar and the Screen Actors Guild Award for Best Supporting Role.
Once upon a time in Hollywood, ain't that the truth? This is for my kids who color everything I do. I adore you. Thank you.
It is noteworthy that at the screening of the film at the Cannes Film Festival, it was the scene with Pitt undressing that caused genuine delight in the audience. The audience greeted it with a standing ovation and an approving whistle. The second film of 2019 was James Gray's fantasy thriller Ad Astra. In the company of Tommy Lee Jones, he played an astronaut who goes through dangerous trials and cosmic cataclysms to solve the mystery of his father's disappearance. Along the way, you will also ponder about God and the meaning of human life. And of course, you'll enjoy the cosmic beauty. We're both fathers ourselves, and we wanted to do something very sincere and raw and painfully honest, Pitt exclaimed, talking about himself and the hero. That was our jumping-off point. Considering how much screen time was spent on the journey of Pitt's hero, it was not surprising to find out that his company was again producing the picture. The whole film is based on Brad and his ability to convey heartache and the search for meaning through an emotionally closed hero. He completely separates himself from the comedic role, plunging into a serious, dramatic one.
You know, it's this Marlboro Man image of don't show weakness. But then we were questioning, you know, in doing that, are we actually denying our own feelings, denying a part of ourselves, a vulnerability in this guise of Superman, to really be open for our loved ones, for our sons and daughters, in the sense that we're all flawed. Most of us are doing the best we can.
This has been the most challenging film I have ever worked on, Pitt said. Well, it's better to get to see the movie firsthand and draw conclusions for yourself and then decide whether he coped or not. In any case, his work was highly appreciated by the audience. His performance is beautifully restrained, expressing entire continents of emotion with one eyebrow movement, commented some. Brad Pitt is simply phenomenal in this wonderfully poignant and visually exciting James Gray film. Others echoed them.
Well, that's it. I mean, we go to work, we do our jobs, and then it's over. We're here and then we're gone.
Ad Astra got $132 million, paying off production costs and receiving an average rating of 8 out of 10 on film critics' websites. Some authors suggest that the film was a reflection of the actor's inner state for this period. Pitt's recent interviews reveal his desire to become aware of himself and the world around him, to know the divine. In a dialogue with Zach Baron, he says that his attitude to religion was constantly changing, also often reflects on loneliness. After parting with Angie, the actor never started a new long-term relationship. There were rumors of an affair with Sienna Miller, but both celebrities denied the fact. In 2019, Brad was seen together with Nicole Petrulski several times, but the romance quickly ended. On the WTF with Mark Maron podcast, he jokingly called his personal life a disaster. A kind of way to cope with the separation and perhaps not to feel lonely was his participation in charity. In 2020, photos of Brad in a red flannel shirt resting after working as a volunteer at Watts Community Corps delivering food to families in need were scattered on the web. Brad worked all the time and was grabbing more boxes than anyone there and then carrying probably 6 boxes at a time on a cart. Most people never realized they were facing a celebrity. But this was not the first episode of the actor's charity. According to tax data in 2006, Pitt and Angelina Jolie donated more than $8 million to charity. They visited various countries such as Pakistan, Haiti, and went to Africa to involve the public in solving pressing problems. In 2007, he created a non-profit foundation, the Make It Right Foundation, to finance and build homes in New Orleans after the devastation of Hurricane Katrina. In the same year, Pitt and Jolie made a donation to 3 aid organizations in Chad and Darfur, affected by the crisis in the Darfur region of Sudan. In September of 2009, Pitt received an award from the U.S. Green Building Council in recognition of the green housing concept used for the Make It Right Foundation. In January of 2010, the Jolie Pitt Foundation made a donation to Doctors Without Borders, an international medical humanitarian organization that provides emergency medical care in more than 80 countries. In 2015, Newsweek magazine named Pitt as one of the 15 people who make America great for engaging the public on Africa's issues. After a break, Pitt returned in 2022 with 3 projects at once. A new stage in the actor's career began. It is felt that he switched again from authors to materials that emphasize his appearance and magnetism. On the other hand, we can see the actor's fatigue from his own fame. Anyway, that's what he says and admits.
The weirdest place that you have been recognized, like
Yes.
out in public?
Well, the most uncomfortable is certainly at a urinal.
If you look at his recent interviews, you can see that he tends to talk with awe about how he grew up in the Ozarks and talks less about his life as a celebrity. Brad willingly poses in suits for $1,000, but at the same time claims that he tries not to put his face on the poster of the film. "I think I'm on my last legs," he told author Otessa Moshfegh about his career for the cover of GQ. And in 2019, in an interview, he admitted that with age, his attitude to acting was changing. According to Brad, he still likes acting, but he no longer wants to focus his whole life on this, to live only in his films. At the same time, if you pay attention to the GQ photo shoot itself, we see in picturesque poses and bright costumes that he is still ready for battle and is not going to retire completely. The release of his movies in 2022 is clearly proof of this. On March 12th, the premiere of the adventure comedy The Lost City, directed by Aaron and Adam Nee, happened. The actor once again put on the mask of a comical, brutal, sexy, handsome male with his hair proudly fluttering.
Let's see. Phone. Right.
He played a CIA agent who saves the main actors. Despite the fact that he appeared in the picture for a short time, it turned out to be impressive. In one of the scenes, we can notice a reference to his long-standing role in Fight Club. At the moment, when Tatum is talking to Brad's character on the phone, like his previous persona, Pitt is chewing something on the other end of the wire at the time of the conversation. Brad agreed to the role of Jack Trainer thanks to the cunning of Sandra Bullock, who was not only an actress but also a producer of the picture.
The Janine Rath Thompson, who's been doing my hair for centuries on films, does his hair. And he asked her to call me and ask me to do him a favor. And then I called her, I go, well, since I said yes, can you get in his ear and ask him to do our film? And he said, yeah. So it literally, that's how it went down. There's nothing sexy about it. It just is perfunctory. It's all about hair. Hairstylists hold all the power in Hollywood.
The film received mixed initial reviews. Despite the good humor and a good cast, the picture is scolded for a mediocre script and a poorly thought-out antagonist. On average, the picture received 7 out of 10, which is not bad for a modern Hollywood comedy. They also didn't forget about Brad's acting. It is impossible not to mention Brad Pitt, who can definitely be called one of the main advantages of the picture. He got the brightest and really charismatic character who, even if he appears on the screen for at most 5 minutes, steals the whole movie, summed up one of the commentators. The picture paid off, grossing $190 million. The second film of the year with Brad, where he now played the main role, was Bullet Train by David Leitch. By the way, it was about the participation in this film that Pitt asked Sandra Bullock as a favor. The film is based on the novel Marie Beetle, written by Kotaro Isaka, and judging by the trailer, it turned out to be cheerful. According to the plot, Brad is an assassin who, during a trip on the Japanese Express, cheerfully and humorously kicks his rivals' asses. And the actor does it without anyone's help.
And people were going a little stir crazy. There was almost a feeling of depression, like a worldwide depression in the air or something. Yeah. Read the script, and it just I laughed out loud, like by the time we got to the Bad Bunny scene, and I said, that's the salve we need right now. This is what I want to see.
According to stunt director Greg Remenner, Pitt performed 95% of his stunts on his own. He delegated the most dangerous moments to his stuntmen, paying attention to the funniest ones. But he also got a good deal for it. According to Variety, the actor's fee was $20 million. The actor explained his approach to filming as follows.
This was action comedy in something I had never done before. Dave and I had always been big fans of Jackie Chan. We've been talking about him for decades, like he's our Buster Keaton. He's so talented and underrated even.
The press vividly discussed the spectacular appearance of the actor in a linen skirt during the premiere of the film in Berlin. Whether it was an attempt to prove that the actor is keeping up with fashion trends or a way to attract attention, we don't know. But Brad explained the act like this: "I don't know, we're all going to die, so let's mess it up." In Los Angeles, he was no less bright, which of course pleases us. It means that despite the lawsuits with Angelina and a difficult period, he does not lose his positive mindset. Even despite the fact that Bullet Train was received ambiguously, The Guardian described it as strangely tedious and extremely unfunny. Reviewing it for The Telegraph, Robbie Collin was even less impressed, awarding it only 1 star. One particularly bad scene, both critics pointed out, sees Pitt end a comic monologue by inviting the viewer to insert, I don't know, something witty themselves. The 58-year-old Pitt, Collin stressed, was badly miscast as the movie's motor-mouthing smartass leading man. In recent years, there's been a lot of talk about the actor's personal life. In addition to the years of litigation with Angelina, the division of custody of children and scandals, there are rumors about the resumption of relations between Jennifer and Brad. So in 2017, he allegedly took the first step by sending a message to his ex-wife. Brad told her that he was having a hard time because of the breakup, and they exchanged several messages remembering the past. Marie Claire reports. And after parting with her second husband, Aniston invited the actor to her parties several times in 2019. In 2020, fans noticed several ambiguous passages between the former spouses, clearly filled with coquetry.
Hi, Brad. You know how cute I always thought you were. I think you're so sexy. Will you come to me?
Despite this, both actors claim that they are just friends. Since that moment, rumors about Pitt's relationship with both ex-wives have not faded until now. The actor himself, during his acceptance speech for his role in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at the SAG Awards ceremony, decided to joke about their relationship with Angelina. "I played a guy who gets high, takes his shirt off, and doesn't get on with his wife. It was a big stretch," he joked on stage, while the cameras switched to Jen sitting in the audience and laughing at it all. But what was it really like? What was the real relationship between Mr. and Mrs. Smith? And what started their quarrel?